Okay, once again, very lucky to have on the line Wolf Hoffman from Accept. Wolf, thanks for joining us today.
Man, my pleasure. Like I said earlier, this is my first phone call to Australia in my life. Hopefully not the last, but it's a huge honor.
Thanks very much. Right, let's talk about when Accept came back into the game. You were a long time in hiatus, and you were jamming again.
That's correct.
Jamming again,
Yeah.
looking to get back into it. You needed a singer. Tell us how you hooked up with Mark.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of those weird stories in life that you can't plan for. I mean, we were not really looking for anybody, and we had never even thought about reforming Accept or anything like that. It was just that I was visiting Peter one day about 5 years ago, and we were doing a jam session like we did many times in the past, where we just made a little noise for fun, playing some old Accept tunes, and nothing more was supposed to come of it. But then somebody suggested that there's this guy who lives close by who's familiar with your old songs, and he's a great singer. Why don't you invite him? So that's what we did, and it's because it's more fun to jam with a singer than just sort of noodling around like that. And so as soon as Mark came and he started singing, we were like blown away, like how well it sounded and how perfectly he fit the sound of the band and how familiar he was with the old tunes. And I looked at Peter, he looked at me, and the idea was born to regroup Accept.
How did it feel to be at it again? I mean, you said you weren't looking at doing it, and then you've got a singer in, sounding like it did.
Yeah,
you're looking at Peter, he's looking at you. You're thinking, okay, let's do it. How did that feel?
Well, it felt like it's a new beginning. We didn't really know what we were in for, to be honest. We were a little bit sort of blue-eyed, naive, I would say, because we sort of made up our mind on the spot, or like within a day or so, and just the rest wasn't even figured out yet. We didn't have a label. We didn't have anything sorted out at that point. We didn't have any songs, surely. We just had the idea to we thought, well, we've done it before. Why couldn't we do it again? Of course, it's a new singer, but, we knew it was going to be quite an uphill battle with a new frontman. But we gave it a go because that's all we can do. And we said, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it all the way, and we make new records, and we're just gonna, give it all we've got, basically.
Excellent. Now, you recorded Blood of the Nations. That came out in 2010. Fantastic comeback album, in my opinion. How was that received?
Oh, tremendously well. I mean, this was, it was so strange. Initially, when we announced that we are going to do this and that we are coming out with a new album, everybody's mind was made up that this is not going to work. It's going to be a huge failure, and why do you even try? And we got all this sort of, opinionated fans on the web that knew everything was going to be a huge disaster. And then when the album came out, it was a huge surprise how good it was, and everybody was, apologizing to us, and all the journalists gave us rave reviews, and it was like a remarkable story. And it's been a smash success. It's been voted like, the comeback album of the century. All these like superlatives that we couldn't have anticipated at all. So it went amazingly well.
Right. Now, you went out on tour. What sort of tour did you go out on, and how did it go? Did it go like you were expecting it to, or did it like...
It was similar in the live. It was kind of similar in the live scenario. We actually started touring before the album was even out, and you could see that a lot of fans who knew us from back in the day, they came sort of with their arms crossed, and had to sort of, well, all right, guys, impress me attitude. It was, it was a little bit convincing necessary, but once people saw how well Mark is doing and how well the band sounds, all the arms went up in the air and everybody was on our side immediately. It was crazy. A complete turnaround. And so now that we've been around the world several times and have done hundreds of shows, I mean, it's a done deal, and we're well established. And some people say we're now bigger and better than we've ever been.
Yeah, awesome. Now, Stalingrad came out in 2012. Now, I actually prefer that to Blood of the Nations. So you're kicking along nicely. You're writing songs like Only Accept Can. You're touring again. How did that album go down? Was that did that from your point of view? Did that continue on as Blood of the Nations did?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It certainly did. It was a lot of people were surprised how quickly we were able to deliver another strong album.
I was, yeah.
Personally, I thought we should have had a little more time to write all this stuff because we were really just basically coming off tour one day and in the studio the next, and it was tough to get it out the door as quick as we had to, but we managed, and it was really well received, man. And because of that experience, we said to ourselves on this latest release, Blind Rage, we're gonna stay in the songwriting mode as long as we can, and when it's ready, it's ready. We're not gonna commit ourselves to a certain date until we feel like we've really got the songs we want,
Yeah.
But we wrote for this new album all through last year for about 8 months, and then when we went into the studio, it was a breeze because we had all this material pretty much demoed out and ready to go.
Yeah. That leads on to my next question. Do you write songs while on tour?
Hardly ever. The only exception is, interestingly enough, this last album, because we had been, we did summer festivals all through the summer of last year, and there was a lot of downtime then, and Peter and I were the main, or pretty much the songwriting team in the band. We decided to use the time in between those weekend festival shows to write songs. So practically on the road, but really not on the road while traveling, but almost, away from home anyhow.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do when you're really in a different city every day and you're practically on the road. And you only have a couple hours every day to actually work. It's really hard to stay focused for me anyhow.
Yeah. Do you like the recording process, the whole deal with in the studio, recording it, mixing it? Do you like all that sort of thing?
I do. I certainly do. I don't like recording as much as I like writing.
Yeah.
To see a song sort of develop and to take shape in front of your eyes is sometimes a magic process that I really cherish now more than ever.
Yeah. Okay. Now, with your last album, Blind Rage, I heard an advance copy from the record company just last night. I love it. What's your favourite song on that album? I'm keen to know that.
That's hard to say. I think one of the songs that turned out really, really well is "Dying Breed."
Yep.
Because of the lyrical content and the whole story behind it. Getting some great reviews on that. I also love "Final Journey."
Yeah.
Because it's got some cool guitar parts in it. But man, there's so much cool stuff in there. I think there's at least half the album, or maybe even 8 songs, could be played live really, really well. It might end up being in the live set.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. With such a big back catalogue that Accept have got over many years, I mean, there's so many great songs. How do you go about choosing songs to keep in the live set? I mean, you've got to work out some songs on this new album, surely, to be in there. Something has to go.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not that easy, but, it's a good problem. It's a luxury problem to have, So, what we put in is not such a big problem, but what do we leave out? That's the harder part sometimes, because you can't ever do a show without Balls to the Wall or Fast as a Shark or Metal Heart. There's so many of those that we really almost have to play to satisfy the fans who've known us such a long time. Then sometimes there's only little room for newer stuff in there, and when some sets are only like 90 minutes or 60, when it gets to 60 minutes, and that's when it gets tough. Like, what do you really narrow it all down to?
Yeah.
It's not easy sometimes, but, hey, part of the deal, and I'm not complaining.
No. Now, you're finally coming to Australia. Only took you 30-something years. So, that's...
Yeah, I only did, right?
That's coming very soon in November. Now, unfortunately, you're not playing in my city, but I'll be going over to Melbourne to see you, as will a number of people I know.
What is your city?
Adelaide.
Is your city, then?
Adelaide.
Well, maybe next time, man.
Next time for sure. What can Australians expect from an Accept concert in Australia?
Man, that can accept nothing but the best. 5 guys going out there in giving it all they've got, sweating their asses off, and high energy. We're gonna put on a hell of a show. That's all I know. We're gonna probably break quite a bit of the old material, like I said earlier, just because we always feel like we have to, And then, of course, those last three albums are gonna be represented quite well. So it's about half old material and half new, I'd say. We'll see.
Excellent. What do you do when you're not on tour, Wolf?
Well, these last few years I've been working so much on Accept that there really isn't a whole lot of other things I can do, but I can tell you this, that while Accept was in hiatus, I became a professional photographer, and I'm still sort of doing that when I can now. It's another creative
Outlet.
career, if you want, but now it's coming to the point where it's a little hard to juggle both schedules like that. So right now it's about 90% music and only maybe 10% photography.
Right. You're coming here in November. What happens for Accept after that? Where do you go? What are we going to hear from Accept?
Yeah, well, we're going to start touring here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to start in the U.S., going to go all through Europe, into Japan, and then finally we come to Australia. I think we have Russia still on the schedule, and of course at some point it's going to be Christmas, so we take a break over the holidays there, and we'll pick it right back up in next year and finish the rest of the world, like South America and all the other continents. All the other areas we hadn't been to, the U.S., for instance, we're going to do a full-blown U.S. tour next year. So pretty much going to cover the whole globe, man.
Excellent.
That's what it turns into. We're really one of those bands that tour worldwide. And, when it says world tour on our T-shirt, it really is a world tour. Not just, a couple countries.
Excellent. Wolf, it's been absolutely magnificent talking to you today. I'd like to really thank you for taking the time, and I can't wait to see you guys in November.
I can't wait to see Australia, period. I've never been there, and I don't even know that this continent even exists. I really want to see it with my own eyes, man. I want to come down there and see a real kangaroo.
Well, we'll see what we can organise for you. Wolf, thanks for your time.